Hi everyone, my name is Jeff, a member of the Teen Advisory Board for Howard County, and today I'm going to be talking about the fundamentals of Python programming, some key concepts needed for you to get started in Python. So the agenda for today includes data types, variables, naming conventions, input and output. There are 4 different types of data types: integers, floats, strings, and booleans. Integers are your positive and negative whole numbers. Floats are your positive and negative decimals. Floats are called floats because the decimal point is surrounded by numbers, or is wrapped around by numbers. So the decimal point floats. Strings are a group of characters such as A, B, and C, or periods or quotation marks, and they're strung together by quotation marks. Booleans represent true and false, like a light switch represents on and off for a light bulb. And it was named after this gentleman here, George Boole, a famous mathematician who studied logic and invented Boolean mathematics, which is mathematics involving true or false statements, and also involving mathematical operations on those statements. Now, variables. Variables are placeholders for different data types. To create a variable, you need to state the name and then assign a value to it. In this case, my name is var is the variable name, and it is set to 5, which is the value of the variable. And in the future, when you use my name is var, you are essentially using 5. There are 2 major naming conventions that you should know about. First is camel case. Second is snake case. Camel case involves leaving the first word lowercase and capitalizing the subsequent words. Like here in camel case, camel is not capitalized, case is capitalized. In snake case, however, each word is separated by underscores, and each word is not capitalized. Good variable names are very important because they help the reader understand your code better by representing variables with good names that show their purpose and what they represent. Keywords cannot be used as variable names. Keywords such as break, except, in, and finally should not be used as variable names and will return an error since they are used elsewhere in the programming language for other purposes, such as, for example, false. False is a state for a Boolean, and if is for controlling outputs and the like, which will be talked about in a different video. Now, how would you input and set your input as a variable, you may ask? You can use the input function. A function is just a group of code that allows you to perform one or more functions, or actions, if you will. Parentheses enclose the parameters. Parameters are basically what you put into a function to get an output. So the input function allows you to specify the prompt message that the user receives when the input function is run. And you can assign this input to a variable for later use. Now, how would you print the variables that we talked about before, you may ask? You can use the print statement by specifying the data types and characters within the parentheses that you want to print. You can print different data types such as strings, integers, booleans, and floats. You don't have to define a variable beforehand. You can simply write the raw string or the raw number inside the parentheses, and it would print just fine. But, however, variables allow you to use them repeatedly and also grants flexibility. So it's recommended that you use them to define your values and the like. And continue on the concept of printing. There are control sequences that allow you to format the outputs, such as the concatenation operator, which is the plus sign, a new line, which is \n, and carriage return, which is \r, tab, \t, slashes, which is just a backslash. Concatenation would just add onto your output wherever you specify it. New line creates a new line, which allows you to input new things or output new things on that line. Carriage return returns you to the beginning of the output or input. Tab creates a space, not a space, but an extended space between two different words or data types. Slashes allow you to transform quotes, which are normally used to specify strings, into an ordinary character that you can display as an output. Now onto the demonstration, where I show you guys how to use these methods and these concepts. First of all, let's define a variable using camel case. For example, I named my variable myvar, and say I set it 100. Then I print it. It should print 100. Yep, it prints 100. Say I change it to dragon. It should print dragon. Now what if I added a new line character and then 5? What would happen? Yes, indeed, it would print dragon and then create a new line, then 5. You can also set myvar as a Boolean state, true in this case. Then the print statement would print true. And you can do the same for floats, such as 3.14, and it will print that. But right now, we can't really do much with just print statements, right? We can input whatever we want to input using the input function. So I can set myvar to input and then specify a message. Say I want to enter a number, for example. Then say I run it. Then I write 167 and it prints 167. You can also write other things, such as this is my input. It doesn't have to be something like enter something, enter a ... And say you want to write shark, it will print shark. Then one last thing. If you use a keyword such as global, or if you use a keyword such as if, and you set it equal to some value, catch, for example, it will return an error, since if is used elsewhere in the programming language and does not serve the purpose of being a variable name. And that is it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you found it informative. I recommend that you check out other tab videos, as they're also informative, in my opinion. And thank you for watching.